And actually, the first match on TakeOver Night 2 is just who we were talking about here, Killian and Dane.
Pre-show, yeah.
So now Dane and Drake Maverick are the number one contenders, defeating Breezango. And even though it was a short match, it was under 10 minutes, it still felt like a match that both teams needed.
Yeah.
Like Breezango, Tyler Breeze has had a serious match recently against Santos, but Fandango really hasn't had a serious match.
At all, no.
Yeah, and Drake's basically been a jobber the past month. Dane really hasn't really done too much besides help out Drake. So it was definitely a match that all four men needed. It was short and sweet, but it had a lot of great tag team wrestling, a lot of great tag team double teams and maneuvers in it. Series of reversals. It was great to see all four spotlighted that way, because I think Breezango is better as, I don't want to say serious wrestlers, but without doing like the pirate gimmick like they did last night. They're above that. They can just be, the two fashion guys that they've been. Yeah. As soon as they get in the ring, something switches. They don't need to come out dressed as pirates or astronauts or a pit car driver, pit crew guys, anything like that. And I still love the dynamic between Dane and Drake. They'll eventually get a tag title shot, which honestly they could have Imperium run in and interfere in the match between them and MSK, resulting in maybe a triple threat between them, which then you could have Walter interfere into that type of match, and then build towards Dane versus Walter.
Walter would be
right there. But yeah, it was a great pre-show match.
It was. It's the perfect match to whet your appetite for what's to come on the big show. So
yes,
while I agree with you that Breezango needs a more serious edge if they're gonna advance in any way, shape, or form, but I really like those pirate costumes. Honestly,
I did too.
Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure. It's the fact that and honestly, it's one of the best looks for the CWC, the Capital Wrestling Center, was that graphic of Breezango with the pirate background.
Them with the swords in their mouths was a perfect moment also.
Yes, and Maverick being that little firecracker who's has the angry little guy, and while the less angry big guy now is just holding him back.
Yes,
we're not gonna say Dane is calm by any means, because he's not, but
it's almost like Team Hell No.
Mm-hmm.
You have as you said, the angry little guy, but it's a different dynamic than Team Hell No, but it still has that. You could see that they had a little bit of inspiration of Team Hell No, because they're mismatched. They start off as enemies, but now you can tell that there's a friendship there, and especially with Drake being the guy who gets angry, works perfect, because he's happy-go-lucky, but when he's in the ring, he gets frustrated because
people are
he gets the best of him a lot of the time. Yes.
Yeah. And he's not being taken seriously, or he's looked at as the weak link, which is also something that Team Hell No had with Daniel Bryan and Kane. So yeah, it's future looks bright for that pre-show. And hats off to Mickie James, great job on commentary. I don't know, Mickie, I'm pretty sure Mickie James can still go, but it seems they don't. They have lost faith, or they have abandoned ship on her on the main roster. So,
yeah.
So it's being an analyst on NXT is a perfect spot for her. If it will even, and it might lead to some in-ring action in NXT, which is good.
I think so too. I think she would be a good person to be in NXT because obviously her career is winding down. She can still go in the ring, but kind of like Tommaso Ciampa or Tyler Breeze, just be the person that is a veteran who can help along everybody else, because I think that's what Tyler Breeze is basically in that spot of right now. Also,
I think so.
I know he doesn't want to go back to the main roster. Ciampa doesn't want to go to the main roster. And
they're still
both guys
a big deal,
can
even though
bounce
they
back
can
and
do
forth.
somewhat what they do what. I'm not gonna say they're half free reign to do what they want, but I think they're doing programs that they're more comfortable with.
Yes,
Stuff that makes them happy, and honestly, that's the dream. I think that would be the dream for any pro wrestler, is like working for a big time company, and working stuff that you're passionate about, and you're still being cared for, and it's still on a worldwide stage. No.
Even though I don't really like 3-man announce booths, I actually wouldn't mind Mickie James or do more commentary for her. I wouldn't mind her doing 205 Live.
Yes, yeah, that would be that could work. Yeah, and
I mean, you figure a 30-minute show, it gets her some experience at the announce booth, especially working with Nigel. So I think that would be a great combination or trio right there.
And and honestly, Vic Joseph. We liked Vic Joseph way back when he was calling 205 Live in 2018, but Vic Joseph now is even levels above that where he was 3 years ago, and he feels like, as far as play-by-play announcers today, he feels like he's the most versatile. Like he can work with anyone.
He does,
and
it's because he like Cole, because you could kind of tell they were trying to groom him to be Cole, but then they're like, because he was doing Raw, and then they brought Gresham back to Raw, but you could tell that Gresham had a lot more of that easily fed Vince McMahon.
Yeah, whereas he carries the WWE approved sound bites a lot better. That's
exactly. And Vic, I think, works better in NXT because when you see Vic on the bump, you can tell he's actually a fan. I'm not sure if Gresham is or not, but Cole wasn't a wrestling fan growing up. He said that in the past.
He was a news correspondent, and they just got him to get legitimacy. Which, respect to him.
Exactly.
He respects the business a lot now. You see once he's noted about it. I don't know if if you hear the new version of WWE's podcast After the Bell with Corey Graves, Vic Grimes is his. Vic Joseph. Vic Grimes. Vic Joseph is his co-host, and the two of them they fan about a lot of stuff in wrestling. Which kind of it shows you that there's a lot of passion for these guys. They want to give this as much as they can. And I think Joseph is Vic Joseph has worked great with Corey Graves. He has worked great with Wade Barrett, Nigel. So he's I think he has evolved into that play-by-play guy that's dependable on whenever they give him a newer partner, so he can elevate them or he can catch them up to speed and so forth. And honestly, the 3-person for NXT is great as well. The main team with Vic and Wade and Beth. I think at the last takeover they found their footing. I think that's the one of St. Valentine's Day. What was it?
It
Vengeance
works because
TakeOver Vengeance Day,
of Vic as play-by-play man. You have Beth Phoenix as the former women's champion.
Yeah.
Wade Barrett, former Intercontinental champion, and they can act. Those two can give insights. What it's like to be a champion, to be in the ring.
Each other, yeah.
Yes.
And even their Discord.
Plus, it helps. Yes. Wade as Wade and Nigel are great as color, because unlike Corey Graves, I should say Corey Graves in the main roster. Corey Graves in NXT was great, but Corey Graves in the main roster, they have him like throw people under the bus too often, which a heel commentator shouldn't do. They should just be the person to be the foil. They should be the that for the play-by-play. They shouldn't be like burying them when they talk about them.
Yeah, and especially when you're a no contact color commentator. Like King could bury people because because there was always that possibility that he's going to be in a match with this guy someday. There could be comeuppance for him, but Graves is not in that same. Granted,
he's been retired for almost 10 years now.
Yeah. And granted, like, I don't think he does it in a mean-spirited way. Like, a lot of times he actually gets a chuckle that he makes you feel that he's legitimately pissed off at what's happening from the babyface.
Yes.
But, you know, sometimes you feel like he needs to dial it back.
Agreed.
Yeah, and we just alienated him from, ever being a fan of this podcast by,
which honestly for him, that would probably happen.
Yeah, honestly, that will happen. Yeah, if he ever heard this particular conversation, yeah, we're done.
But Wade Barrett, Nigel McGuinness, you two are super welcome. Corey Graves, you're welcome as well, but you will probably deny us.
Yeah.
But Wade Barrett, Nigel McGuinness,
Graves,
come on by.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And TakeOver started off with Poppy, and a lot of musicians I discovered through wrestling and through movies. And when I first saw Poppy about 2 years ago on NXT, I was like, all right, this is kind of odd that they have this little blonde girl on here. And then saw what she was talking about
and then
herself and how she was just weird. Yeah. And it was great, and that she knows how to energize people. You really get a vibe while you watch the show, and she kicked the door down, and it was an awesome performance, awesome way to start the show.
Honestly,
NXT
her singing persona
is greatly.
Yeah, honestly, her singing persona is a lot like pro wrestlers, so it's like
yes,
comes out and she's all sweet, like, "Hi, I'm Poppy," and then the music starts, and whoa, this girl is scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of scary, that's just a shot of her.
Yeah.
Like as she looked away at the camera, and then I don't know how they did this angle where her eyes just seemed completely black, like whoa, an anime. And she's like a real life horror anime in the ring right now. It's
yes, exactly.
Yeah, but
it was a great way to start to pump everybody up.
Yeah, and if we're talking about music, let's talk Rob Zombie. I would hear this song on the commercials for TakeOver and stuff, but I keep saying this song is actually reminds me of Dracula. That's what
it does, yeah.
And then they said we'd like to thank Rob Zombie for King. I'm like, I knew it. How did I not know it was Rob?
I actually listened to the entire album the other night, and that when that song came on, I was like, "Wow, this song is very Dracula-esque." It's the most Dracula out of the entire album. Most of the album actually sounds like a lot of White Zombie. Then there's a couple songs that kind of sound like Stained a little bit.
Okay.
But it was a mixed bag for him. But NXT, they always get better music for fits wrestling than the main roster does. Triple H picks out
that really pumps you up. Yeah.
Yes, he picks a lot of hard rock and metal, punk, stuff like that. Whereas the main roster does a lot more R&B and pop music.
And you gotta love.
But NXT definitely knows their audience.
Yeah, NXT pre-USA era as well. They used to also bring up these hard rock or metal bands that no one heard of, and it was kind of
exactly
the same way they were presenting new wrestlers to the world. They were presenting new musicians to the world. Like I remember like Code Orange. I never heard of them before NXT. What's their name? There's the guys who did the song for the NXT UK. It Could Have Been Me.
I was actually just listening to them a couple weeks ago. The space and name of the band, but I was listening to them a few weeks ago actually.
Yeah. They actually for NXT they got Chris Jericho's current AEW theme on TV before Chris Jericho used it anywhere else.
That's true.
And it's the first ever Fozzy song that I heard, and I thought, you know what, I could listen to this song just because it's a great song, not because it's Chris Jericho singing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Their music selection is great. How did this? They
first match on the show. Oh, you're good. We had NXT UK versus NXT here. Because last January, Jordan Devlin won the Cruiserweight Championship. Then COVID happened. He couldn't come back to the States. Since September, has been defending the Cruiserweight title
in the UK.
Over in the UK. Santos Escobar has been the interim champion here. I was always wondering if they were just going to keep the two titles split or what they were going to be doing originally. Then, as soon as Santos started mentioning Devlin and Devlin cut that promo, me, you, and Pete might have been the only people who were freaking out over that.
Yeah, when they
it was an amazing moment.
Airport, we were all like, "Holy shit! This is."
Yes, because people can say Escobar has elevated the title, which he did. Buddy Murphy did, Neville did, Alexander did, but Santos has made it seem like a legit title because it's now on NXT.
Yes.
It's not just a 205 Live title. But Jordan Devlin has been defending this championship over in the UK. He's been in open challenges. Devlin has been a great champion. So Devlin versus Santos Escobar was a huge match. It was one of my, if not my most anticipated match of the weekend. Probably my second after Cole and Kyle. It was probably my second most anticipated.
Yes.
And holy shit, did they deliver.
Yes. And
honestly, actually looking at it, second biggest runtime of the night last night.
Oh, nice. And it was good. It's and you gotta, like, I don't know, like, at least under the WWE banner, this might have been the most anticipated Cruiserweight Championship match.
Yes.
Of all.
And
definitely under NXT, probably under WWE. I mean, like, I'm trying to remember, like, I don't think, like, Chavo had a great Cruiserweight Championship reign way back when, but I don't think there was any match of his that was anticipated as this. I don't think Rey Mysterio had any match.
I think the last two, as far as NXT or current Cruiserweight title since 2016, I think the only two matches that have really been built up like this might have been Reese versus Neville at Mania, and Ali versus Cedric at Mania. This
Ali
year
versus Cedric was a tournament final, so you could, like, there was a story, but the story was like it's babyface versus babyface style title for car.
Plus, those two Mania matches, it felt like an undercard. This year, you had Shawn Michaels making the match. Shawn Michaels comes out and throws in the ladder, effectively showing, hey, Shawn Michaels can call the shots on NXT as well. And
Shawn Michaels has taken an interest in the
press conference.
And Shawn Michaels has taken an interest in this match. And Shawn Michaels lends credibility to anything. Let's be honest. So if you're if like Shawn Michaels saw this match and thought, well, I want this to be a ladder match. So you're thinking, whoa, Sean sees something here that we didn't see.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with these people,
have you seen the poster that they had between these two where they were side by side? Devlin's face had the Irish flag on it, and Santos' face had the Mexican flag. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. They do that for a lot for the UK as well. Like it's, I remember Kaylee Ray and Satomura had something like that. Kaylee had the Scottish flag, and Satomura had the Japanese flag. So it's those are pretty good, and it felt like a big deal match. It felt big. I don't think, I think this is the most anticipated Cruiserweight Championship match since 2016. Like since it's been reinstated. I might actually go back and say since WWE introduced the Cruiserweight title. Not the light or the light heavyweight title. Since I'm not going to talk about WCW's part in it, but since the WWE introduced it, I think this is probably the most anticipated match
easily. At least it was the best built and the one that was actually treated with the most respect.
Yes, and
they didn't treat this like they were undercard guys because they were cruiserweights. They treated this as a main show, and opening up a TakeOver is a big deal, especially a ladder match at a TakeOver is a huge deal. So these two guys are the first people are seeing. That's the thing. People think that a curtain jerker is the lowest of the card.
No.
Curtain jerker is basically the main thing that you want to see when you are turning on a pay-per-view. You want to have that high energy. And this match brought high energy. It brought physicality. And Phantasma came down and attacked Devlin. Like it felt like a major angle.
It felt like a big angle, and it's like a
moonsault by Devlin.
Oh God! Oh, that was like off the ladder, and like it's not like it's underestimate. Like the closer the person is to you, the harder the moonsault is. It's not the other way around. Like people might think like he needs to jump further for the moonsault. So if the guy goes, but if the guy is like right under you and you're on top of the ladder, you don't have any idea how much precision it takes to actually hit that thing and not get too much airtime and just overfly, or
exactly
like what's the name of the movie, like Sirens, Saving Lights, the Nicolas Cage ambulance driver movie, paramedic. Something about lights. Yeah. Anyway, we'll look it up. This is the movie of the night. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, but there was this emergency where he knew a drug trafficker, and the guy, there was one guy who was overweight and the other guy was like thinner, and they both jumped from the window to the balcony downstairs. The bigger guy landed inside the balcony. The lighter guy, the guy from New Zealand from Fear the Walking Dead, jumped, and he got the airtime. He got to go further away, and he landed on the side of the balcony which had the spikes on it. So like the lighter, so once you're light, and especially 205 light, when you jump, it's easier to go, horizontally further than you intend to.
Right.
That's a long walk to just say that Devlin was super awesome when he hit that moonsault, because first of all, his form, amazing. Like if you're judging him in the Olympics, you'd give him a 9.5 if not a 10, and he landed right under his own self, and that is freaking difficult. And it didn't look sloppy. It didn't look like he was like one side was ahead of the other. It just looked picture perfect.
It was like you said, it was like a swimming, like person diving off of a diving board and just landing perfectly.
Yeah. And to top that off, he hit him with a Spanish fly that also looked perfect off a ladder. It's like, wow, like Devlin is really good. We've known that for a long time, but like this match highlighted how flawless he is in the ring, how smooth he is. And You talked about like the curtain jerker thing. Like I remember, like I think it was Taz. He used to say this on his on the Taz show. If you're not in the main event, first match is where you want to be.
Yeah, because you want to have people to follow you.
Yes, and you want to be the first. You want to get the crowd while it's hot, while they're still waiting for it. So the perfect match, Phantasma, like Santos. Look at the guy coming out wearing 2 masks over each other.
Yeah,
that's how cool he is. He did that, and he didn't seem like a douchebag or like an idiot. And again, like while Devlin was the babyface coming into the story, by all means, he's still a prick, but he was the babyface. The CWC was chanting for Santos, and you can understand that because he's the guy who's been wrestling in front of this crowd. He hasn't been in the UK, so he's sort of like more their son than Devlin was.
Yes.
And while the match ended like in a one-on-one fashion, you still can say that that Devlin had the match won until Phantasma interfered. So I don't want to say it's a cop-out, but it's an out for the guy who's technically the good guy in this match to say that, for us to say that this guy had the match won. And perfect storytelling, perfect match. They didn't overdo it. And once again, like we talked about this while we were watching, perfect thing about NXT is they're simple. They don't oversell stuff. They don't they don't patronize you while they're showing the stuff. Like if this was at the WrestleMania, they'd have like 8 ladders surrounding the ring and 6 other ladders on the entranceway. This one, they just had the one huge ladder on the entranceway, and I don't think they even used it.
Yeah, I don't think they did.
Yeah. So, yeah. You got
TakeOver's never feel overstuffed, and they know how to do it with being in the minimalist style.
They know how to strip it down, but still make it seem epic. It's like they're whoever is running TakeOver, like Triple H, or they're like the big time director who knows how to work within a budget.
Evelyn, if he goes back to the UK, he could actually use this to be like, thinking that he's bitter now because of what happened, how he talked about how he was supposed to bring the title back there, or they can make him a babyface by having like someone walk up and say you were supposed to bring the title back here, but you didn't. So there's a lot. Devlin has a good out in this match.
Yeah, Devlin versus Noam Dar for that one. Noam Dar could be perfect. Bring him in on the Supernova sessions.
Yeah.
And just needle him until Devlin actually gets him in the match, and this will kick it off.
Yes. Next match we had the women's tag, which it was a fun match. Ember and Shotzi versus The Way, but I really wanted The Way to win because
me too.
Shotzi, I like Shotzi Blackheart. It seems that since Halloween Havoc, she started getting like an actual push, has just become really unsafe. It felt like there was that dive she did last night where she barely connected, and it seems like she just landed like between the mat and the barricade. It just looked nasty.
It felt sloppy a little bit. I mean, like,
Ember does her thing well. Candice does her thing well. Indy Hartwell, she has improved so much over the past 6 months.
Leaps and bounds.
She's in a great spot.
Mm-hmm. And I think, honestly, I think Candice is due for some recognition. That's why I wanted the Way to win as well.
Same here.
And I think
she deserves it.
Like, if you remember, like when on maybe our second episode of this of doing this podcast, I was talking about like how Candice cannot seem to break through to that upper echelon of the women's division.
Yes,
and that has changed completely. It's like Candice has become, in a way, she has taken almost like the same position that her husband is taking now with Gargano, which is like the ultimate test to see if someone is ready for the next level or not. Yeah, so you feud with Candice, and then and I think, and basically she's one of those, you know, an unsung hero of this division right now. That's what I think, Candice LeRae.
Completely.
Yeah. So I was thinking, like,
I think that the tag belts would be perfect for them.
Yeah, it would be perfect with her as the mouthpiece because. And again, that promo she did last Wednesday before on the Go Home show for TakeOver, that's the first time I was actually impressed by a promo from Candice LeRae.
You know,
I haven't seen a lot of her promos.
What I was hoping that they were going to be doing, I don't know how far along she's on her return, but I was hoping that this would have been a way to have a boost to NXT for their first night on Tuesday. This was going through my head the other day. WrestleMania, Bayley hosts Ding Dong Hello, and her guests are the new the NXT Tag Champions, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Then Tegan Knox comes out, and she's like, you know what, I'm challenging you guys, but Candice and Indy are like, you know, you don't have a tag team partner.
Bayley.
It looks over, and it's Bayley.
Yeah.
And then you have just for one night, you have Bayley on NXT on the very first episode. You just have the match on the first episode on Tuesday, so a couple days after Mania. You have Candice and Indy defending against Tegan and Bayley. Just a one-off for staying down there or anything, but it would have given a boost to NXT. It would have had a story behind it with Tegan and Candice, which again, I'm not sure where Tegan is on her return, but I was like, that would have been a pretty cool way to give Candice and Indy a rub on Mania,
and
Bayley on Mania, and give a rub to NXT on Tuesdays.
Yeah, it would have been perfect, but like and I also I get it as well, because Shotzi and Ember just got those titles, so
I do too.
Yeah, if you want to, like, it's like the title changed hands like within within an hour of, you know, having within an hour of its existence. So it's like you don't want to overdo it in that stuff. But I still think that, you know, Ember and Shotzi, while they mesh together, I still don't see the point of them being a tag team. They just, I don't know. Like, it was
basically thrown together for the Dusty Cup.
Exactly. So, and they have like become a tag team, but I'm like, I still don't see. It's like Ember is like an outrageous character, Shotzi's an outrageous character, so just let's put them together, have an outrageous team.
Pretty much.
Yeah, welcome to the fire pit and taking care of business. And they still come, and Shotzi still comes out in a tank. Hooray!
But speaking of Candice LeRae, her husband came out, who I thought he was going to be either the Falcon, the Flash, or Dark Superman, but comes out in super awesome, much like a War Machine style vest, and it looked badass. But him and Bronson Reed, who, you know, we were praising Reed earlier, and this showed exactly what he can do on the big stage.
Yes.
Johnny Gargano, I love Johnny Gargano. He's like my favorite wrestler, but a lot of his matches can go too long. A lot of them can go up to like past a half hour, almost for no reason.
And a lot
he's been working better with like the 20-minute under.
A lot of them also tend to have a lot of
his match with Kushida,
way too many false finishes. But since he moved on from Priest. He's brought it in. He tightened it.
He's finally found himself in his character, his heel character. He's finally feels like a legit champion, because like a lot of times, especially like in WCW, a lot of times you would have like a former world champion like Lex Luger or a Ric Flair or a Sting win the secondary title for a while, and here you have a former NXT champion who's now the only, not just 2-time, but the only 3-time North American champion, who's finally defending the title against worthy opponents. And it just shows how strong the mid-card is on NXT. And a lot of the mid-carders could also be in the world division, or the NXT title division, whatever you want to call it. But it just really shows how strong the division is for both titles in NXT. And Gargano getting a chance to work with Kushida, and now Bronson Reed brought out the best in Kushida for a while, and now he's bringing out the best in Bronson Reed. Reed, I think maybe a year from now might be on the main roster or so. It's one of those slow burn situations, traditional NXT style, where he wasn't, well known in Ring of Honor or Impact or anything. He was, I don't want to say homegrown, but he wasn't.
He was a big name, maybe in Australia back then, but like.
Yes.
So he's like an exclusive.
Not any of the yes, exactly. So now you have him who he's had the slow burn for the past year and a half or so, since they did the whole whatever that tournament was with him and Loomis and Grimes, Jake Atlas,
breakout
yes,
something like that. The one that was won by
Oct.
Yeah.
Yes. But Bronson Reed has just had that great slow build. Season him a lot for the next year, and he could be getting a huge post-Mania night pop in Dallas, Texas next year if you position him properly.
If they keep him, yeah.
Yes. Don't pull the trigger quite yet. And last night is a perfect example of a loss making a person look stronger.
Yes.
Had he won last night, would have been cool with it, but he's now hungrier for the title, because he's had Johnny Gargano initially won the second North American title in a ladder match with Bronson Reed, and now you have this. You could easily have Bronson Reed be the one to take the title from Gargano, like the August takeover or something, because you just have you start building up Reed as a guy who's like, I now need to win this championship, and once he finally wins the title, it'll feel huge. I think Bronson Reed is a smart choice to finally put the belt on in a few months, and you just really make him hungry for that title. And last night definitely made him hungry for that belt, and it made Johnny Gargano look like a strong champion, which he's needed. He has needed that for his NXT title and his North American title runs, and this is the best championship reign of Gargano's since DIY.
Yes, and again, if we're talking about the evolution of Johnny Gargano and how much mature he was, Johnny Gargano's matches used to be centered, the story was that Johnny Gargano has the heart, he will not die, and he can come back from anything, which, as a babyface, perfect, keep going. But I think once he turned on champ and once he started doing this, he carried a little bit of that into his matches a little bit after he turned heel, which kind of Damien Priest would hit him with a finisher and he would kick out and so forth. But as a heel, that does not why would I boo this guy? This guy has more will than anyone else. He keeps coming back. So, and but the match with Kushida and the match here with Bronson Reed were more about not shining Gargano up, shining his opponent up. which was perfect. Like he made, like even when beating Bronson Reed, he made Bronson Reed seem like a legitimate monster, like a guy. Like he hit like that one more beat DDT. He hit him with it twice to just get him down. Like the first time he hit him down, he hit him with it. Reed was actually still on all fours. He wasn't like flat on the ground. He was getting back up, and it's. I mean, like, it's kind of like that ridiculousness that you can only, accept in pro wrestling business because, like, just because the guy is big, head trauma does not affect him the same way it affects other people. But it's pro wrestling, so, like, perception is reality. It's an art form, so, that's where suspension of disbelief comes in. But, yeah, again, like, I think Gargano has evolved into becoming the measuring stick of NXT.
Yes, definitely.
This is the guy who if you want to know if you have a gem in another guy or not, this is the guy that tests his metal, that knows that this guy, pardon the pun, deliver or not. But great match. They were actually, up to that point, they were the best match of the night. But then the co-main events happened.
Yeah, the only match on, not counting the pre-show, the only match on the main show on night 2 that won't be in contention is the women's tag.
Yeah,
but I think all 4 of the other matches could easily be debated. But I do agree that the 2 main events were the 2 best of the night. Cross and Balor, it told a story because Balor looked like a complete badass in this match. Like, he's way smaller than Killian Cross, but he felt like a killer in this match. Like, he'd be beating down.
He somehow made
Cross.
He somehow made Cross the underdog in this match.
It's almost, this match was almost like Brett versus Diesel.
It is, and to some extent, it's also Daniel Bryan versus Kofi. WrestleMania 35.
Yeah,
The smaller guy is the.
It had a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. And was final at the final 2-3 minutes. It's almost like when Ross was taking down Dijak and Keith Lee. He's just pounding away relentlessly on Finn.
Yeah.
He lifts Finn Balor up at one point, and I'm not sure if Finn actually just was out of it for a second or if it was just how it looked on my screen, but his face looked pale for when he got like a German suplex.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, he actually looks like he's completely dead right now. And he kept getting up, and then he kept getting rammed in the back by Cross.
Yeah.
Like 3 times it happened, and each one got more vicious and faster and stronger than the previous one.
And kudos to Cross, because he was selling that frustration was building up to him to perfection.
Yes.
Like, freaking stay down.
There was like that moment. They said it was kind of like when Taker and Lesnar had their face-to-face when they were both on the mat at SummerSlam, and they had their little laugh-off.
Yeah.
These 2 guys both looked up at each other last night. Cross needed to do something, so he was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to grab Finn, and Finn, being the great champion he was, takes his other foot and just bolts Cross in the face as hard as he could.
Yeah. I
was like, holy shit! They're having a fight while they're both on their back. That is awesome.
Yeah, that was great. And again, like the genius of it, like when that finishing sequence, Cross did not go for the pin until he actually got the pin.
Yes.
There wasn't this whole hope thing, or the suspension of the kick out, and which works in some matches, but this match was about a progression of he crosses elevating, he's delivering more punishment, and He didn't go for a pin, which in this case did not disengage you from the horror of what was happening to Finn Balor at this point. There wasn't that point where like, well, maybe Finn can do it. No, there's like, oh shit, and then oh shit, and then oh shit, and it kept just, you know, escalating until Cross said, okay, he's had enough, I'm gonna pin him now, and he actually pinned him, and that was it.
Right.
And just like, you know, the ending was perfect, the beginning was perfect, like Finn actually, you know, toying with him and delivering on it again. Finn Balor is just brilliant. Like Finn Balor is probably the best wrestler on 2 feet on the planet today. It's and I know I said that about AJ Styles before, but just, you know, his psychology is beyond almost anyone from this generation. His match psychology is beyond the thing. Like he talked, like he gave him a promo about like how you wrestle with emotions and stuff and like that. And when was the last time you actually heard someone talk about how they were gonna wrestle a match and actually deliver on how they wrestled that match?
Yeah, they totally did.
It doesn't happen, but Finn Balor made it work. Like he knew he needed to head in that direction. He knew what Cross needed to get over. He knew what he knew that he was building towards a story, and he knew how to execute that story. It's like
like NXT. We'll get to this in the main event, but NXT has this thing where people there can feel like will just knock out anybody in a fight. And it's like, I know people can say this, like Jim Cornette always says this about AEW, that AEW stars don't really feel like grown men, quote unquote.
Yeah.
If you look at NXT, you look at Cole, you look at Kyle,
you gotta
look at Finn, you look at Cross.
Yeah.
Yes, Ciampa, Walter. They have a thing where when the bell rings, it feels like these guys just want to destroy each other.
Yes.
It's always had that. Like Nakamura was that way. Samoa Joe was that way. Aleister Black, kinda. Maybe not Robert Roode, but a lot of the top echelon in NXT.
They just had business. Yeah.
They just want to fight, and they just want to be the best.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens, yes. And that's the thing about NXT and its championship matches is they feel like championship matches. And I've said this about Finn Balor in the past. Finn Balor's reign, honestly, this might have been one of the best NXT. I would actually rank this probably above Cole's title reign.
Yeah.
Because Finn Balor felt like a legit champion through and through, because every single match he was in felt like it felt like a piece of him lost in every single match.
Yeah.
It's like, even though he might have won the match, you could tell that his opponent took a bit of him as well, because he was still on the mat and he still got his hand raised. Like these two, like him and his opponent go through wars.
Yes. And even if he didn't think that he was like the favorite going in, even though he's the champion, by God, he made me believe that Finn Balor is the man to beat, not the other way around. That match was Karrion Kross. You watched it. And yeah, Finn Balor is the guy to beat in this match, not Karrion Kross. It's Balor is the guy who has the advantage. Balor is using and I know like some people like wanted the Demon Finn Balor, or thought Demon Finn Balor was going to come out, but it just does not work for this.
I thought it was about 2 months ago. I was thinking that, but then he cut that promo about how he doesn't need his
when
he doesn't need his demons.
Yeah, when emotions, people might call them demon. That's just a subtle way of telling you he's not going to be the demon anymore.
But they gave us the demon still last night, because they gave us that amazing.
Yeah,
it wasn't even a video package.
It's just
that pre-match shots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and there was something about it,
and it's centered with the demon right square in center, and it teased that it was going to be the demon, because they had the music stretched out longer with the beats.
Yeah.
And then they had the... then all of a sudden it just, you know,
he just came
shows
out, but he
Finn.
had the X on his chest, and that was like as much face paint. And I was thinking, like, you know, even if the demon will come out, it's good for that moment, but then why? Why would he just cut that promo and then come out as demon? But again, that visual of those pictures of his NXT career around Karrion Kross, it's like it's a perfect way to sum up how the match was coming in, because it was. And this is how you think. You're watching this and you're thinking, this is Finn's way of telling Karrion Kross, you're way smaller than me.
Yes.
Not in stature, but as far as a star, like, I'm the bigger star. Yes. Look at this. Look at all I've done. So Finn Balor is coming in with psychological warfare, showing him that, yeah, man.
When Finn turned around, it was almost like him saying, like, "You're expecting, you know, me to be the demon. I am the demon." That's basically what he was saying was, you know, I don't need this, that I could beat that person.
Yeah.
And I mean, sure, he got the loss, but much like any time Balor beat Kyle or anybody else, you could still tell that Ben took a bit of Kross in this match.
Yeah.
It made this was a better win for Kross than the Keith Lee match.
Yeah, because this is also the first time that you actually felt that Kross went through something, not a war, but he went through an experience. He went through a journey.
Yes,
he journeyed to get that championship. He was and this was a rare part of, like, I'm not gonna say it's the first time he showed emotion, but it's the first time he showed vulnerability. Yes, there's the first time he had desperation on him. The first time it's a perfect storytelling match, which is also a perfect technical piece, which is also a perfect brawl. It's honestly, it's a 5-star match, and yeah. It's you can't.
You know, at that point, it was the best match of the night. But yes, like TakeOver,
it's just like TakeOver to just, you know,
always be outdone.
Yeah,
and I've given, like, New Japan crap for this in the past by trying to continuously out-length another match, especially at Wrestle Kingdom. A lot of times they'll try to do that. Usually the match is still great. This match here, Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, it didn't feel like 40 minutes, honestly. Like, I thought maybe it was like around 30 minutes. I didn't really realize it was 40 minutes until I just read it just now.
Until you told me right now, I didn't think it was 40 minutes. I thought it was... Even come to think of it, there was a lot packed into that match. But it did blow by.
This match told a story. I like both their new theme musics. Cole's feels kind of inspired by his Ring of Honor theme a little bit. Mm-hmm. Kyle O'Reilly, I love his new look with the hoodie that he wears to the ring. Yeah.
It said the Accent Smash on it, which people might think it's a Demolition reference, but it's a reference to. I think it's a Red Dragon reference, actually.
Yes, exactly.
Him and Bobby Fish were doing this, so yes. I like that.
And this match, for one, I'm glad there was not interference. I kept thinking that Roderick Strong was going to interfere.
Me too. I was thinking...
I was like, all right, Strong quit, and now he's going to come back and help Cole win, or he's going to take out both guys. I'm glad that didn't happen.
Hey, say whatever you want about NXT, but they know how to preserve the purity of a match. How a decisive match has to be a decisive match. They did that with Io and Raquel, the championship match, Finn and Kross, and now this one. Even the ladder match had interference in it, but they gave it enough time after that interference for it to be, to feel kind of decisive.
And this match had escalation. Like, it started off in the ring, went outside, and it came back into the ring, but with the chain.
Yeah.
We'll get to in the chain in a second. It goes back outside the ring. Have the brawl in the crowd area with the television set, which, like I said last night, Jack Specific finally got it right by it's like, hey, they're finally using TVs as weapons. And
this is
they go back into the ring again.
Yeah, and they use the TV as weapon. This isn't like Bray Wyatt
and
Dean Ambrose.
They have that.
This was.
Yeah.
He full ahead.
These two guys wanted to take each other out. This was the match that I wanted Ambrose and Seth Rollins to have back in 2014.
Yeah.
It was two guys that wanted to just destroy each other. So it shows the difference between NXT and WWE. WWE didn't. I was let down by Rollins versus Ambrose. I think they were both great in their roles, but the matches just felt lackluster. This here, throwing their bodies at each other. They dove through the entrance ramp. Adam Cole emerges from the entrance ramp, bloody hand, and he wants to continue to beat down Kyle. So what does he do? He starts kicking. He destroys the outer wall.
Yeah,
he's like, I need to do this.
Yeah,
yeah, and they you could tell. I loved the moment. They had a moment of respect between each other, and they had that whole thing where it's like, hey, they're two guys that hate each other right now, but they still love each other because they had those chairs positioned. Cole sat down, knew what was about to happen. It's like a well-built fight. He knew that they were going to fight. He wanted to fight him, and Kyle sat down in the other chair.
Yeah.
They just wailing into each other.
Lighting each other, and honestly, like, it's the sitting across from each other is a hokey indie spot, but it worked.
I filmed a lot of those in the past where it got overly comedic, where they would punch each other and then the two wrestlers would call for beer, and then they would drink beer with each other, and then they would start doing it. It is a callback to PWG.
Mickey Rourke and Nick Butcher I did not like.
Yes, exactly. This here was perfect because it wasn't done hokey. It was done. Felt it was done out of respect. Like Cole still respected Kyle.
Like they built to it. It wasn't like it,
Yes.
It's like Cole. Kyle found himself seated on the chair, and Cole saw it, and he was like, "Huh?" And he was, "You know what? I'm gonna give you this."
And they had been through hell for like 25-30 minutes. Cole needed a rest, and Cole's character basically wants to be the best. So if he wants to be the best, he wants to beat Kyle. So Kyle sits down, and they have that look. It's like they get quiet for like 5 seconds, and they both look at each other, and it's like, you know what? We're doing this. Yeah. And they do it. But to rewind, that chain spot. Holy shit!
Oh my god!
Clotheslines with chains, backbreakers of chains.
It's the most innovative uses of.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's weird.
And the best spot, Kyle O'Reilly, and you people can say this about WWE. And to go back to 205 Live earlier. 205 Live a few years ago, I got to see it in person, had one of the best hardcore matches of the year of Ali and Buddy Murphy.
Yeah.
They didn't bleed. They just were two guys that just wanted to destroy each other. And it was a great match. There was hardly any blood in this thing last night, but you don't necessarily, for people who say you need to have blood, you don't necessarily need to have blood, because look at that visual of Kyle O'Reilly wrapping his leg up in a chain. He's wrapping his leg up on a chain that's connected to the ropes, that's connected down towards Cole. and he just dives off the top rope, or was it the middle rope? I think it was the top rope, and connects onto Adam Cole.
The ending shot. Yeah, I think he was sitting on the top rope, but he was on the second row. He jumped off the second. But
that's it.
And
holy shit!
And that, like, not machine, that tire iron when he had the figure 4, and he just whacked him with
yes.
And I'm like, oh my god! And I usually do not like over violence that can be avoided, but damn it, they did not suck me in for every moment of this. I didn't think like this is unnecessary or this is an unneeded spot or
everything that happened paid off, because Kyle, when he left the ring stumbling, Cole was getting assistance. It paid off because the guys were selling what was happening. They weren't no-selling. They weren't doing like a Chikara PWG Game Changer Wrestling atmosphere where they won't sell something. It was basically a fight without honor.
Yeah,
it was them going back to their ROH days because they were actually selling their moves and giving impact. But this here felt more vicious than any of their previous matches.
It did, and they have had some wars,
especially like
Honor in New Japan. But
yes, I posted in MVS last night. I posted their final battle match, which was also no disqualification, and it was a great match. This here had so much more raw emotion in it because
it's a journey.
Their previous one, when Kyle came back, Kyle was gone for like a year, and Cole in that time joined Bullet Club. Cole in the time won the world championship for his second time. But thing is, even though they are tag partners, they didn't reach the same heights that Undisputed Era did.
No.
And the heel turn that Adam Cole did Saint Vengeance Day was one of the best heel turns in recent memory. And you got Finn Balor involved in that, so it was multi-layered. You had Roderick Strong involved in it. You had Cole getting the wristband ripped off of him by Kyle. This match had great build. They had William Regal get involved in this feud by getting punched by Cole.
They had made it feel like these guys want to kill each other. Like there is no and it even like it put you in that position as well, that it's not just a good guy and a bad guy, which clearly was, but there was also like a solid point of view from both sides on it. It made it like there was no match that was very like, if you remember, like we had a discussion about this, and I like a couple of weeks ago, and I said on MVS, and I said this is probably going to be the match that closes the night because it's
and it was match of the night. It was match of the event. For me, it's going to be match of the entire Mania weekend.
Yeah, right now it's the match to beat. It's that and Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross, I think, are 1 and 1A on this week right now. But I don't know, like maybe the triple threat main event on Sunday might compete, but I don't think like nothing does.
Cesaro and Seth Rollins could possibly for in-ring action, but I don't think either are going to trump this.
But then again, like it's also like a match is not a great match just because of what happens bell to bell. It's also what is brought into the match, and Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole brought a lot into the match before it even started. It's it might be, as far as execution, just by execution, let's not take out, the storyline and everything, it might be the best unsanctioned match that ever was.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, as far as my favorite, I might have a softer spot for Ciampa versus Gargano in New Orleans, but
I actually would rank this, even though it was in that crowd, and the crowd was completely against Ciampa, which just showed what a great heel Ciampa was. I think this match had a better pace, and
as far as execution, it was a better match,
better story.
Yeah,
yes,
it had a more of a fable behind it. It's still though Ciampa sitting next to Gargano and Ciampa sitting next to each other, and Ciampa trying to backstab him is probably one of my favorite endings to a match it's probably one of my favorite endings that I've ever seen for a match. But this one, as far as execution, pace-wise, what happened during, what happened after, it might be, by the numbers, a better match.
Yes.
And
I agree.
As far as unsanctioned matches, it's better than any lights out match that's on the other show. Again, there's those shots again. God, I'm glad James is not doing this with us today. Wow. It's just wow. And again, it was fitting for the main event because as great, as perfect as Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor was, it could not follow this.
No. Plus, I think the show needed to end with Kyle being triumphant there.
Yeah. It's the bigger story. And plus, the match itself takes you out of everything. You cannot follow an unsanctioned match that's done to this perfection because they took you on a war that's. It wasn't a methodical story being told like Finn versus Kross. This was an even war that went all over the performance center.
Yes.
Yeah. It disengages you from everything that came before it. And if anything followed after it, it would have been disengaged. You would have been disengaged as well. So
exactly.
Perfect placement. And an unsanctioned match, I think you were about to make a point about like it has to go on last.
Yeah, because an unsanctioned match to me isn't kayfabe. An unsanctioned match isn't part of the card.
Yeah.
If you think about it in reality, if you have an unsanctioned match, you're not going to put it between two other matches because it's like, hey, I have these other two matches sanctioned and I need to get these ones finished and done. Like, if they don't get finished and done, your match isn't on the card. Like, your match can be on the card if my match is.
Yeah, we're going to tell the cops to take off now for a while, and they're going to come back in 30 minutes once this match is done. Like, it doesn't make sense.
So it makes sense to have it be the finals and, no time limit, just two guys out to destroy each other. And this was pretty decisive. Part of me thinks Cole is on NXT because it was a pretty decisive victory, honestly.
Yeah, it was just like there's no question who won that fight. It's not like that they were close to each other. They were close to it. They were neck and neck for most of the match, but the last couple of minutes were all Kyle O'Reilly. So
I got a call. We have to go back to work here in a second, but for that, I will say this, and I'll see what you think about this. I don't think this is going to happen. This is how I would actually book Adam Cole. I would remake SummerSlam TakeOver Brooklyn 2017.
Where he
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yes, Drew McIntyre is the champion. Roderick Strong, who quit NXT, is staring across the ring from Drew McIntyre. All of a sudden, Roderick Strong is in the ring Bobby Fish is in the ring as well, and then Cole attacks. Bring Undisputed Era sans Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, that
Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be a great...
Yeah.
A great multi-layered...
I don't think it's going to happen either.
Yeah, it's a great multi-layered story or a multi-layered angle. It's...
Yeah.
The same thing that happened...
It brings Fish back. That way Fish doesn't have to deal with Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah.
it brings Strong back since he quit NXT, and it brings Cole back a hot way after a loss to Kyle O'Reilly. That way Kyle O'Reilly can be a top face to possibly be the guy to dethrone Karrion Kross, which I think he is going to be the guy to defeat Karrion Kross.
Yeah, I think,
and I would also do that SummerSlam weekend as well. I would have the SummerSlam takeover, Kyle versus Kross, and I would have Kyle win that night. That way, between now and then, you can have Kross versus
Kross just destroying everyone.
Kross, yeah, exactly.
Kross versus Pete Dunne again. Kross versus who else?
Kushida.
Yeah, Kross versus Kushida could work. Kross versus Reed. They could have a big house fight.
There's a lot you can do between now and SummerSlam weekend, which is what, 4 months from now. Yeah, so I think Kyle will be the guy to do that. But yeah, that's how I would do Cole, and that's how I would do Kyle moving forward.
Yeah, I think for Kyle's odyssey to be complete, he needs to win the title.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think he needs to get that title reign.
And I think wherever Finn Balor might end up, I think he needs to take a leave of absence.
I do too.
Yeah. Even if they're going to bring him back to Raw, SmackDown,
he's earned a leave for a while, and I think wrestlers should. I think a lot of wrestlers, once they lose a title, honestly should take a month or two off.
Unless they're going into that immediate rematch, they should, disappear for a while.
Yes. Let them have a small vacation for a month or two, especially when you're guys like Finn or Roman who have been busting their ass for the past 6 months.
And this takes
especially Finn Balor, because
Finn Balor has been carrying that whole title picture all on his own. Like, well, I mean, like
pure physicality.
But he's been like the centerpiece of this whole thing, where he's just everyone just destroys him, and he just comes back. But this actually reminds me of WrestleMania 12. I love that Bret Hart lost the title, disappeared for months and months and months, and it was great. The absence makes the heart grow fonder. Come on, let it be on.
Exactly.
And because Finn going for that direct rematch after he's been decisively beaten does not work. It's
exactly.
He needs to disappear for a while. He needs to. I don't even want him in a mid-card feud or anything. He just falls off the face of the earth. And if Kyle
honestly
wins at SummerSlam, I'd bring Finn back then.
That's what I was just going to say. Kyle beats Kross. Kross doesn't get a rematch. Kross goes right up to Raw or SmackDown. Kyle beats Kross. Maybe not the same night. Maybe the next Tuesday on NXT. Finn comes back.
Maybe after one title defense, he comes.
Yes. So he comes back in like September, and he challenges him a Halloween Havoc. You build Halloween Havoc around Finn versus Kyle. Kyle finally beats Finn and shakes his hand. Then, Raw or SmackDown, they need a fifth man for their Survivor Series team. Here comes Finn Balor to fill that void.
Yeah. And then we move on to dream matches like Finn Balor versus Daniel Bryan. Honestly, that's the match I want. I don't.
Same here.
Like, if I get Finn Balor versus Daniel Bryan, it was a successful call-up. That's it.
Same here. I gotta start heading back to work here. Just got a call for this one, so let's wrapping this up here. This honestly might have been my favorite takeover
since the last one you saw live.
I mean, I said that about yes, it was live. I loved the last takeover. I mean, I've loved all the takeovers, but I think I said the last one was probably my favorite.
Yeah. This actually did feel maybe like the WrestleMania of takeovers. It
did. This might have been my favorite takeover in about 2 years, I think, actually.
Yeah. This is, I think this might be the biggest takeover not to happen in Brooklyn.
Yes, I agree. But we'll be back Sunday with a look at WrestleMania Night 1.
And WrestleMania and preview.
Yes, so tonight's going to be a big night. Tomorrow's going to be a big night. And we'll see you guys on Sunday. So happy podcasting, ladies and gentlemen.
Happy podcasting, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on the Outlaw Macho Drive-In. If you liked that video, please click like and subscribe to our channel for more content from the Drive-In. For full episodes of our podcast, you may look us up on Anchor, Spotify, or wherever your favorite podcasts are available. Just search for Outlaw Macho Drive-In. And if it's not too much trouble, would you help us out here? Spread the word, share. We would really appreciate it. Thank you. We love you. Bye.